Sociopath, psychopath, and narcissist. What is the actual difference between these three? To help us untangle this intense topic today, we have our mental health expert with us. Help us out here.
Thanks for having me. There's a lot of overlap among these three, but the real issue is that a lot of people use these terms interchangeably when they really shouldn't be. They are very different things. Here is one solid rule of thumb to remember right off the bat: every psychopath is narcissistic, but not every narcissist is psychopathic. Make sense? That is your key difference right there. A narcissist is someone who lacks empathy, is grandiose, feels entitled, is constantly seeking validation, and is arrogant. It's fundamentally a disorder of self-esteem. They have trouble regulating how they feel about themselves. However, when a narcissist does a bad thing, they actually feel a fair amount of guilt and shame. More shame than guilt, frankly, because they care deeply about how other people view them. Shame is a public emotion. They hate being viewed negatively in the public eye or by others, and that's where the shame comes from. But they'll feel a little bad. For instance, if they cheat on their spouse, they might think, "Ugh, I probably shouldn't have done that." A psychopath is a completely different animal. They are all of those narcissistic things, except with zero guilt and zero shame. They do not feel remorse when they do something terrible. These are your serial killers, hired assassins, or corporate raiders who will go in and literally gut a business. They are the ones who say, "I don't care who gets hurt," and they genuinely mean it. Whereas a narcissist would likely say, "I hope no one gets hurt."
And should they be used interchangeably?
Exactly. They look a lot alike because sociopaths also do bad things and don't care. But here is the critical key: a psychopath is born, and a sociopath is made. In clinical research, where psychopathy is often categorized under antisocial personality disorder in our diagnostic manual, we believe psychopaths are actually born with a slightly different autonomic nervous system. Our autonomic nervous system houses the sympathetic nervous system, which controls our fight or flight response. When a normal person breaks a rule, does something embarrassing, or runs a red light, their heart races, they sweat, and their pupils dilate because they fear the consequences. A psychopath doesn't experience that same physiological arousal. That's why they can lie effortlessly on polygraph lie detector tests. Where you or I might go on a roller coaster to get that rush of arousal in a fun way, we hate feeling it when we do something wrong. Psychopaths don't feel that fear-induced arousal. If you or I see police sirens flashing behind us while driving, our heart rate spikes instantly. But a psychopath? Even if they have a dead body in the trunk, they stay completely cool. They pull over, take the ticket, and simply don't care. PET scans show that the section of the brain that serves empathy doesn't naturally light up in them. You can briefly train them to simulate empathy, but it doesn't stick. Psychopaths who commit violent crimes often end up in prison, while the ones who commit white-collar crimes often end up as multi-billionaires or cartel leaders. There's a strong genetic component. Psychopaths often have fathers who exhibited antisocial traits. They also tend to possess glib, shallow charm and high intelligence, which is why they get away with so much. It's all a facade. When diagnosing antisocial personality disorder, we look for a long-standing pattern prior to age 15. Things like truancy, violence toward other kids, stealing, running away, or setting fires, all without feeling bad about it.
A narcissist is someone who lacks empathy, is grandiose, feels entitled, is constantly seeking validation, and is arrogant. It's fundamentally a disorder of self-esteem. They have trouble regulating how they feel about themselves.
Sociopaths look like psychopaths in their actions, but they were environmentally created. For example, a kid who grows up in a rough neighborhood and learns criminality or bullying just to survive. Or someone raised by a father who teaches them how to break rules and manipulate the system. It wasn't natural to them originally, they were trained into it. They might feel more initial discomfort when getting pulled over than a psychopath, but over time, living in lawlessness conditions them to desensitize that response. It's like the classic story: he was a great kid until high school, and then he got in with the wrong crowd. That's a sociopath. Their behavior is shaped by their environment, family, community, or even certain high-stress environments like specialized military training. As for therapy, not voluntarily, no. They don't see any benefit to therapy. The only time you consistently see psychopaths or sociopaths in therapy is when it is court-ordered by a judge as a condition of release, or while they are serving time in prison. Oh, definitely not couples therapy. In many ways, when they go to jail, they just view it as the cost of doing business. They don't like it, but psychopaths and sociopaths rarely think about long-term consequences beforehand. That's why they commit impulsive, petty crimes. Like holding up a liquor store for $150 just because they need cash right now. They act first and think later. That's also why they struggle to hold steady jobs and frequently use aliases.
And how does that differ from a sociopath? Would a sociopath's heart race if they got pulled over by the police? Have you ever had psychopaths or sociopaths come to you as clients for therapy? I thought you were going to say they show up in couples therapy. When a psychopath goes to prison, are they upset about it?
You are in serious trouble if you are dating one. My advice is simple: get out. It can be an extremely dangerous dynamic. In research on domestic and intimate partner violence, the vast majority of perpetrators are either narcissistic or psychopathic. They will dispose of you the moment you get in their way. As for your friend's story, that is classic psychopathic or sociopathic behavior. Why would they do that? Because empathy is a positive emotion, whereas wanting to hurt someone is an antagonistic emotion. Cruelty gives them a sense of power and pleasure. There is a big difference between empathy and understanding. Psychopaths are master chameleons. They can read human vulnerabilities exceptionally well, which is why they make terrifyingly persuasive salesmen. They view the entire world and the people in it merely as instruments to fulfill their own desires. If a partner no longer serves a purpose, they discard them without a second thought. My pleasure breaking this down for you today.
We've discussed in other sessions how to cope while dating a narcissist. But if someone finds themselves dating a sociopath or a psychopath, is there any way to manage it? I want to share a story a friend told me. She dated a guy in college for a year, but he got strange, so they broke up. For the next year, he courted her relentlessly, showed up on time, bought gifts, became the absolute perfect partner. They dated again, and on their one-year anniversary. After meeting her family and being flawless, he broke up with her and said, "I've been playing you this whole time just so I could break your heart when you fell for me again." None of this was real. Would that be a psychopath? But if they have no empathy, why would they go through all that effort just to hurt someone? It's mind-boggling. That is chilling, and I think that's the perfect place to wrap this up. I've learned so much today.
That is a great point, but there is a major difference between having empathy and having an understanding of human psychology. You see, empathy is a positive emotion. Wanting to hurt someone, on the other hand, is a deeply antagonistic emotion. Wanting to hurt someone at some level gives them a sense of power, control, and pleasure. You don't need empathy to hurt someone, you just need to understand what makes them tick. You can understand a person's vulnerabilities without feeling any of their pain. That's why psychopathy makes for great salesmen. They can read a person instantly, spot their emotional vulnerability, and say, "Got him. I'm going to make him buy this car right now." Psychopaths make great salesmen for cars, timeshares, or anything where they are upselling and taking advantage of someone, making them take on far more cost than they should.
But if they have no empathy at all, why would they want to hurt somebody like that? To me, it feels like you would have to have empathy in order to even know what it feels like to hurt someone or to calculate that kind of emotional pain. It's mind-boggling that someone can completely lack empathy but still actively want to inflict emotional destruction on another person.
Exactly. Psychopaths, sociopaths, and narcissists make great chameleons. They are definitely able to change their personality and alter the situation to get whatever outcome they desire. Psychopaths in particular, as well as sociopaths, view the entire world merely as an instrument to fulfill their personal desires. That's really what they are about. It's awful because they will often discard a partner without a second thought when they no longer have any use for them, or they will expect the partner to fulfill a very specific, rigid role. So a psychopathic husband may have married a woman, and she may have had his kids, but now she's going to have to put up with his affairs simply because he wants something else.
So they are essentially master manipulators who use their understanding of people against them. They change themselves to fit whatever the situation requires just to get what they want.